Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the show. Today we have a hot topic that we're going to talk about. I guess we can call this like it's Freestyle Friday today in the Be Well community. So let's just call it that. Today is Freestyle Friday, and we're going to have a conversation about something that came up with Imani and I about multi-level marketing as an industry, about the business of it, people's reactions of it, how people feel about it. Like we're going to get into all of that conversation today. So just in case you are new, my name is Michael Devon, owner of WeMerge Media and Bond to Build. And today we're here with Imani Ray. Imani, would you like to introduce yourself? Making sure we got a sound check.
Absolutely. Hey, y'all. Hey. I'm super excited about this topic today, energized and ready to talk about it. I feel like I had a lot of opinions. I hit up Mike and I'm like, I feel this way and this way. I'm like texting him like crazy. And he like, let's talk about it. So I love having opportunities to express myself and then platforms be created to actually have a discussion and take the frustration from like internal to like an external conversation and see where we can, what insight and things we can learn just from having a conversation.
Right. So yeah, that's how the show came about. We had a conversation about it. Just give you some background. Amani and I are both part of a network marketing company. I've been a part of a number of them for the years, and we're going to talk a little bit about what our experiences are, and we want to hear from you in the audience, kind of what your experiences are, and why people have such a strong love or hate relationship with it. So we want to talk about that today. The other thing too, I want to do is just make sure that we want to hear from you in the audience because we know a lot of you are probably tuning into this show either because you're already part of a multi-level marketing company or you get approached by people who are in multi-level marketing and you got some thoughts on that. You may like or not like that. So we want to hear both sides of the conversation today. We're going to talk about our own personal experiences, but then we also want to hear from you in the audience. So I see that we have our good friend Wendy here in the audience with us. Wendy, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing and tagging people in the conversation. So that lets me know that we can be heard and we can be seen, which is what we need. Since we're going to call today Freestyle Friday, might as well do a little pitch real quick for Be Well. So both of us are united by BeWellMagazines.com, which is going to be our sponsor for today's episode. Amani and I both coach entrepreneurs to get them through a program within 90 days to help them make their first or their next $100,000 to their business. It's called the Be Well Partnership Program. And we are currently working with our first cohort of students who are going through it and having some success so far. They've been talking about how much they've been learning about themselves and their business. And we're looking forward to presenting those people to you once they complete the program. We will be opening up for our next cohort. So if you're someone who is tired of spinning your wheels and trying to do your business on your own, trying to figure everything out on your own, the BeWellMagazines.com. Go to the membership page and check out the Platinum membership. That's where you can get access to us to be able to support you. So we're divided this topic up into a couple different sections. And one of the first sections we're going to talk about is our earliest exposure to multi-level marketing and what that looked like. So, Monty, you want to start or you want me to go ahead and do that?
I can, yeah, you go first. You go first.
Okay. Okay. So I just turned 48 last week. And that just made me realize when I kind of looking at the topics that it's been like 30 years since I had my first exposure. My first exposure to network marketing, multi-level marketing. People call it different things. I'm just going to use them interchangeably. But if you out there know that it's something different, put it in the comments and let me know. But my very first exposure was with my dad actually going to an I can't remember if it was a real estate one or an Amway one. I know I went to him with him to two, one about real estate and there was one about Amway. And at that time, I was 18. I had just graduated high school. I think it might have been the summer before college started. So it was kind of like before I went off to school that I went and checked that out. And, you know, when you're young, you have no clue, no idea what any of this stuff is. You know, you just see the numbers, you hear them talking, you see the people looking good, you see a room full of people. But, you know, that's my earliest exposure to entrepreneurship. And that was my earliest exposure to the idea of what a business structure looks like behind the scenes, rather than from the consumer thing. So, when we talked about having this conversation, I had to give that some thought. I'm like, okay, what did I learn from that journey and that experience? Because after that point, I had on my own went and sought out different network marketing companies and businesses and industries, and kind of, I think, based on that early exposure, was able to kind of get all these different levels of exposure to see that not every multi-level marketing company is created equal. So we'll talk a little bit about, my future state and my perspective and my thought on it now. But Amani, how about you? What was your earliest experience?
Yeah, growing up, I would say I don't remember my exact age, but I know that my mom was involved in network marketing at an early age, specifically more with like skincare products. And she was also, from my perspective, very intentional. I didn't know it then, but now I know very intentional about the ones she selected as far as being engaged with. I've always known her to be engaged with a company that was ran by Black and brown people. So I don't want to put no names out there of companies and stuff like that because we're just talking in general. But I was very inspired by the spaces that she was able to be in based on her engagement in these network marketing businesses. And I didn't understand it then, but I just knew she always had cool opportunities because she was a part of it. And I thought that was interesting, and I even tried in high school to do it with her and to learn like and tie it into what I was already doing, because it just fit so seamlessly. And I didn't really understand sales and business enough to really take off with it, but I knew then that my youth meant something in this industry because they typically don't see younger people and indulging in this lane, or this career choice. So that was probably, I was probably like 8 or 9 when I first saw my exposure, but then I also saw all the big ones. I knew at an early age about Mary Kay and the Pink Card. Like I was aware of that, and Avon and those more popular MLM companies. I had heard about them.
Right.
I was younger, and then when I was in high school, someone approached me about a job, and I thought like, this is it. This is a dope opportunity. And it was like the knives. I don't know what that Cutco.
Oh yeah, Cutco is the name of it. Yep.
And one of my friends from high school, it was actually here in Arizona. I graduated high school my last year here in Arizona. And it wasn't until like 5 years later that I knew what that was. I never signed up or anything because I was confused. He was just fast talking and I didn't know what he was trying to get me involved in, but it sounded like opportunity. And I think I remember coming home to my mom and she's just basically like, nah. And so years later, I heard people talking about it in terms of network marketing, and I was like, "Oh, okay, like that's what that was."
Right.
But there's just so many. I've had to do my research over the years. There's so many different types of network marketing companies. Even the Pure Romance, I think they have a very interesting model where you set up parties at people's houses and things like that. So over the years, I've been exposed to not only what my mom was engaged in, but seeing my friends and other people engage with so many different types of network marketing companies over the years. I know we were just talking about when we our first or our earliest exposure, but I feel like I've so many different levels of exposure to different types of MLM companies.
Yeah, so you said a couple things that kind of sparked some thought on that before we go to the next topic. One of the things you mentioned was a couple of names that people already know.
Mhm.
And, it made me think about the fact that different companies have different reputations where there's different levels of acceptance. So like there's some companies that people view that they're like, oh yeah, I know that one, and their reaction to that company is different as
Mhm.
opposed to something that might be new that they never heard of, where there's a lot of like pushback, frown, like you get a different reaction. So it just kind of made me think about that. And then I think the other thing too that you talked about was that um, it made me think about the fact that who approaches you and how they approach you really makes a difference on how your perception is shaped as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
So like both of us had our introduction through, a parent that was there to kind of help us understand the process, but not everybody necessarily is going to have their first introduction that way.
Yeah.
So I can see how if your first introduction is from a total stranger or from somebody that you don't really have a relationship with or you don't have trust with, you are going to kind of evaluate that situation a little bit differently. And your level of understanding of how businesses work plays a
Mm-hmm.
part too, because I feel like that's where my, over the years, kind of like my, I'm going to say, level of understanding has changed quite a bit that allows me to kind of see this different than someone else.
Yeah.
So let me
Yeah.
just take a look at the comments real quick. See what we got. Carmen said, "Stop all that fast talking." So she must have been talking about when you said somebody was telling you about it, but you didn't understand it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
the product and the service matters. Yes, it does. It does matter. It makes a difference. We're going to talk a little bit about that.
Mhm.
She said she was in network marketing and didn't even know it. Okay.
Yeah, that
Okay.
that comment stuck out for me because I didn't know my mom was doing network marketing then. I just knew she had dope products that we actually use. So we also talked about that on the phone. Like when you don't think of it that way, when it's an actual product that you like, it's just like, oh, okay, I'm just like we talk about in our circles, like you basically are referring a product that you use. Just like you did, if you go to Target, like the Tabitha Brown collection is really dope. I'm gonna tell my friends about it and I'm gonna encourage them to get it. Do I get anything from doing that? No, I don't. So I'm
Right.
not gonna get too deep into that right now. But yeah, that
No,
comment.
I like that you said that because that's so true. And it's really that simple in the end. Of course, depending on what your goals are,
Yeah,
but the,
yeah.
the foundation of it is really that simple. I see another comment here from Denise Hutton. Thank you for tuning in. She said, "I've done Tupperware, Princess House, Mary Kay, all of it." Yeah, it seems like a lot of people, once you kind of get in, you have your footing in a couple of different ones and you have different experiences. I'd
Mhm.
be curious to know, Denise. Let's not forget I did Avon for 10 years. So, Denise, I'd be curious to hear from you, kind of like, with all those exposures to all those different companies, are you part of one now? And I know this is a lot to try to put in the comments. We got to try to put in the comments, but just let us know, at the end of this journey, of you being part of all that, kind of like, where are you now, your perspective on network marketing companies, and, kind of let us know where you sit with that. So let's go ahead to our next topic that we're going to bring up in this segment. That wasn't that one, exposure. So here's the hot button one. So this was kind of what triggered this conversation in the first place because Imani and I, as I mentioned, are both part of a company in the industry, and she was just kind of voicing, I would say, some frustration. Would you say, right, about
Mhm.
how when you mention it to people and inviting them to get some information about what it is that we do, that you get all these very strong reactions. So it's like, I want to talk a little bit, from the perspective of like, why do you feel people have such strong love or hate relationships? Like, where is that coming from?
Mm.
Yeah, where is that coming
You
from?
get me started right away. I'm okay. For one, it's funny. My frustration is hilarious to me, and I kind of don't take myself too serious about it because for 6 years, I'm gonna specifically talk about my most recent opportunity. For 6 years, I just was very dismissive of my mom and what she was doing. So it's like I'm a few months in the game for real, and I'm feeling some type of way because I gotta know. I'm like, if my mom had to deal with her own daughter pushing her off for 6 years, I have to have some grace in this industry. And I think the biggest thing it comes down to is a lack of understanding of what you're getting yourself into. And specifically, I'm gonna talk about our community. I feel like sometimes we easily go to like order a bunch of stuff on Fashion Nova or do all this and invest our money and time and energy into other companies. And I don't want to be too general because that's not everybody's story, but a lot of the times I see our community really highly invest and take the time to understand what other people are doing. But sometimes when it's our own people, like, can I share this information? Can I tell you about this thing? We can be very dismissive. And in this moment, I'm talking about myself. Like, I don't want to be too general and talk about other people, but sometimes we can be very dismissive of each other. And I think where I am right now, from where the perspective I stand, I'm seeing the beauty in us not seeing the success. I'm trying to avoid names. Seeing the success of the company that we're a part of, and how many people decided to say, I'm interested, or I'll just take a minute to learn more. Like, there's so much value in the other side of not being dismissive and pushing people aside. And I would say a few months in this particular business has shown me how like valuable it is to give people a chance, even if in the long run you're not interested and it's not something that you want to do. Like, that's totally fine, but giving people, the benefit of the doubt, and hearing them out, I think is so important. And that has really, just being a part of it now has changed, because now you know how it feels to continue to be dismissed and dismissed and dismissed. So that's answering how I feel about the hate part of it, because I don't think I ever hated it, but I feel like I was more so a hating on it. Like, I don't understand it and what y'all got going on. It seemed dope, but I don't get it, so forget it. So I was on the hate side of it, but now I'm on the love side of it. And I see we got some dope people tuning in. I saw Kimberly Caldwell and some amazing things she said in our space. Hearing her speak and talk about how we don't see a lot of us in the industry compared to our counterparts and from other communities. And I love the fact that she's advocating for us to be exposed to the industry and find love for the industry while we're participating in it. And I think I just love that. I love that. And for me, I would say, as much I've done a lot of research over the last year or so, I would say, and it's very easily to end up on the hate side of multi-level marketing. It's very easy to end up on the hate side, because that's if you type it in YouTube right now, or if you even Google, I challenge somebody who's tuning in, go Google network marketing right now and put the definition in the comments for me. Go Google network marketing, and the first definition that comes up, if it's the same thing that I saw, put that definition in the comments for me. And that, for one, is the reason why I feel like it's so easy to fall into the trap of hating something you don't even understand. And I think that applies to more than just multi-level marketing. If it's something you don't get, it's really easy to say, forget it. So that's my perspective on it. That's what I think.
Yeah, yeah. You said a lot of good stuff that I totally agree with, and stuff that I felt at some point too. So like having all those different experiences in different companies over the years, it's like you kind of like I know before because your mom got me in. I think I got two of them. I've been in two of them because of your mom. She came to talk to me, and both situations is products that I absolutely love, products that I would use, money that I would spend anyway. You know what I mean? And initially, I can just remember myself being like, no, I've done that before. Like, I don't want to do all that. I don't want to be, what's the things that people always say? I don't want to recruit no people. I don't want to be talking to strangers. I don't want to be getting my family members to be doing all this stuff. Like, you just be in that state. And this is before, too, you even get the information to know if you even have to be doing all that. That's
Man,
another part of it, too. That was another thing too. Oh yeah, she said too. Your mom said scam. A lot of people come with that a lot right away too. She said Sam is still confused about money. So when I just kind of think back about like why did I join some and why did I not join others? Like oftentimes it came down to who brought it to me
mhm.
and what was my relationship with the person who brought it to me. And then that makes me think about the power of like if you're not offering this to people that how do you develop a trustworthy reputation and for yourself if you're going
Yeah.
to be talking to strangers and kind of sharing the opportunity with strangers. So I think for me that I get why people are either on one side or the other. Typically it's because they had a bad experience or because at least where their level of understanding about it is doesn't allow them to see it any other way. You know what I mean? It's just like I've done it, I've been part of it, I've seen it this kind of way, and I know I don't want to do that. So I think the travel company that we're part of now, the reason why that was easier for me is because I've been in the travel industry. I worked in the travel industry on multiple sides of the business. I've been on the wholesale side. I've been on the retail side where, I was an outside agent of an agency. And then now, I'm part of that model through network marketing. So here goes back to my point though. When you understand the industry of how the industry works and how products are sold, you're able to have a different perspective on it. Like I know there are plenty people booking travel constantly on their own, not earning money from it, but could be. And they're just leaving money on the table, so because of my level of understanding how the industry works, and I know that hotels, rental cars, vacation packages, and all that stuff is commissionable, I'm just like, oh shoot, let me get myself in position to make sure that I can generate that money and bring that back to me. So that kind of really speaks to one of the things about understanding the industry that the company is in. And then I think the other point too that you talked about was that you talked about like, you didn't even know that you were in one when your mom had the skincare line, the product line. Those products were the bomb. Like I used to use
So
them
good.
daily. Daily. I love those products. They smelled good. They felt good. Like it was stuff that I would just buy anyway. So there was I think that kind of talks about it too. Like it's easy to like talk to people about something when you really have a passion and a love for the product and you can kind of see some use in it.
Hmm.
Um, but that is just interesting to kind of think about, like when you consider people's path and where they might be coming from and what their past experiences are. Of course, you don't get to do all this when you just be like, hey, we want to take a look at something. Ain't nobody finna go into their whole life journey like we talking about now about what their
Right.
exposure was. But it's something to take in consideration. And I think a lot of times people might be closing doors on things that could really be beneficial to them, only because they just simply won't take in the information and they can't get past like, what that initial perception is.
Yeah, I think also what I find as I've been doing research is a lot of perspectives. They feel like multi-level marketing companies take advantage of income,
Mm,
lower income communities or people who are struggling. You know what I'm saying? And I hate that that's the narrative because unfortunately, some people are out there taking advantage of communities who are less than or can't necessarily shouldn't be investing in this opportunity. And I think that we, like you said, the messenger and your intention and how you connect with people is it really matters in your success in the company and being mindful that you're not taking advantage of people and you're actually having a conversation, making sure people understand what they're getting themselves into. I think that's our duty as network marketers. And just being respectful of the space that people are in. I think it really matters, and it's easy to go on the other side of that and not be mindful and not uh, it's easy. You get excited, you start building, you like, okay, I'm just gonna take whoever I can get. And I think that mentality is what gives us a bad name. It
yeah.
is what gives us a bad name. And I just encourage people, if you're tuning in and you're part of network marketing, just be a little mindful and think about an instance where you may have been in where you didn't have it, and somebody sold you a dream or an idea that this was going to be the thing to change your life. Although I feel like it really can, make sure they
Mhm.
understand exactly what it's going to take for it to be a transformational option in their life. So,
That's real. That's real. And your mom said just commented earlier, I took that off, but she talked about the comp plan matters. And that just made me think the fact that I'm not gonna act like every company is treated the same either. Like some company structures aren't structured in the best way. You know what I mean? For the
right.
person who's using the product. There are people who are building companies who take that in consideration. What has the past history been? And how can I make this better? So like, the company that we're part of has taken that in consideration and has created something that like I find no flaws in. Honestly, I don't.
Mm,
And when you talk about people hearing the big dream, that's another thing people talk about. Like they hear, oh, you could do this, you could do that. But a lot of times what gets left out is, but here's what it's going to take to do that. That's the
mhm,
thing that the person that may be presenting it to you don't share.
right.
Of all the companies that I've been a part of, I've never been at the top of any of the companies. I've never made like got the jewels and the cars. Like I've never done none of that. But one thing I will say, I know it's because of what I didn't do.
You better.
And like if I got in initially and I did my due diligence to read how to earn the things that you want, um, then I knew I was in a position to make a choice. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So it's just kind of like, what was my level of effort? And that don't matter what industry, what business you're in. Any business is going to require a level of commitment and investment. It's going to require a level of effort.
Mhm.
So, a lot of times people based on the fact that, well, I signed up for it, but I didn't get this and I didn't get that. But it's like, but what did you do?
Right.
Did you understand what you signed up for?
Mhm. And that's life. Like, you don't just get a ring or a car because you existed and you showed up for life today. You know what I'm saying? So with any industry, like you said, any business, with any walk of life, it requires a certain level of discipline and work and consistency. And it's funny, like, and I right now with the space that I'm in, I equate what I'm doing with network marketing to what I do in life. So I very seamlessly connect my day to day with how successful I want to be in the company. And so I'm up. I have a goal of waking up earlier. I tell you all the time, and being more consistent. So I'm gonna be up on those phone calls and those motivational calls early in the morning at 6 a.m. And I have built a pattern of it and I love it. And if anything, if I had to leave the company today, I'll be like, they have instilled some serious discipline and consistency in me. You know what I'm saying? It's not all about how much money you can make at the top, what car you could get, what ring you could get. If you could just get patient and value what you get in the company at each stage of it. Right now, I know I'm solely in the personal development stage. I'm still struggling with the nose and I'm still salty about the nose. Still going in my mom room with a sad face, looking like, dang, somebody made me salty today. And I until I can get unattached emotionally to people's response,
Mhm.
that's a barrier I'm at. So each step of the way, you're gonna have some type of hurdle or barrier that you got to get over. And I know I'm still at the very early stages, in the beginning stages, but I also have been informed by some amazing, like even the owner of the company, being able to exchange words and have a conversation and hear about his perspective, you know what I'm saying? And then also one of the founding members, hear from him and hear his perspective. And he told me, like, one of your most valuable assets in this business is your youth. You know what I'm saying? You're still young. I don't have any children. Like, this is an optimum opportunity to really take advantage of what it exists as far as being able to grow as a young adult, and then also support my peers in their growth and helping them see the value of the personal development and the access. I can talk about the access all day. The access, and
Yeah.
what other opportunity can you walk up to millionaires and have a conversation? Somebody tell me.
Right.
And what other without paying thousands of dollars to be mentored by them, without paying thousands of dollars to go to a conference and even just sit in the audience and be near them. But like, what other opportunity, somebody let me know, can you pay $2 a day to have access to a conversation and just learn about the mindset of a millionaire and how they are able to take their lives to the next level? These were average everyday people that were able to change their lives based on saying yes to an opportunity and just working hard at it and being consistent at it. And I don't want to say all of this to say make it seem like it's the most easiest thing. I'm not a high income earner. I'm not at the top of the company, but I do have goals to work my way to a high level. And I know that's going to be solely based on the work that I put in. Like you said, Mike, you can do this for 10 years and still make $0 if you don't invest your time. So along with investing your money into this opportunity, it's very important that you invest your time as well.
Right. Right. And
I
a
just
lot of times, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying I just turned it to my mom real quick.
No, you talked about the intangibles. There's a lot of intangible things that aren't spelled out on the sheet that are benefits to being in the industry and within some of these companies. You talked about the access. You talked about like the personal development that you're getting and the mindset. When you talked about the millionaire mindset, like there's all these things that aren't spelled out as part of the package that you end up getting from allowing yourself to kind of go on the journey and be part of this experience. And it makes me think about some of the other elements that I've grown to appreciate. The education component of it, just like there's a lot of like educational component of learning how some of these industries work. And there's tools and there's resources that are out there for you. I think that there's like people don't understand that products people are being sold to more than they realize they're being sold to. Number one, I think because of my background in like sales and marketing, I look at everything. I always have a way to kind of put that filter on there. But there are people who are just like spending money like constantly on stuff and not even considering the sales process of how it got sold to them. And even though it may not look like or been presented to them as like something that's formulated as a multi-level, there's typically a level of people, interior people behind the scenes that order to bring that thing to market and make that part of the product. So I think that like when we just talk about kind of what our thoughts on the industry are today, I had to mature and my level of understanding of how businesses work had to mature. And also just valuing different things in life for me has changed the way I would look now as opposed to the way that I looked before. I think for me, it's just really about like, I like something that's going to naturally fit into my lifestyle, something that is not going to feel like a big, I don't know. There's just some stuff that I just would not want to represent, but
Yeah.
there's things that I do that I represent that I be part of that people, already see me as. So to me, it's kind of like a seamless type thing. As I mentioned, I worked in the travel industry before. In people's eyes, I'm traveling all the time. In my eyes, I'm just like, I ain't traveling enough, but I traveled, a few times I try to go somewhere every other month or so. But to me, that's just kind of natural. So it just makes sense to me. So I think one of my advice to people is to really just like, don't shut the door automatically. Um, Unless you know for sure, like, yeah, this is not in alignment with anything that I'm trying to achieve, but at least get the information and listen. Like I'm at a point now where I think I've done enough of them to know, okay, I'm looking to understand certain key things about how revenue is generated, but I also want to know the intangible stuff. And one of the things that your mom mentioned earlier that I really like is like she said that we're not begging, we're building. So it's like I am not subscribing to that whole idea of trying to convince somebody to do or be part of or believe in anything that I'm believing in.
Yep.
I simply want to share information. And
Hmm.
if the information that I share is of benefit to you, you want to continue that conversation, then we can continue that conversation. I think a lot of the deceit that people feel and the fact that people are always just kind of like, no, like I'm not doing that, it's because you do have people who will put time and energy in trying to make you see it their way.
Hmm.
And people reluctantly will get involved because maybe it's a family member they want to support or a friend and they don't want to say no and feel uncomfortable. Say no. If it's not for you, just say no. And
Yep.
if it's come for you for a later time, then do so. But
Right.
that's one of the things that I think really leads to that strong, like, I'm never doing that again, that hateful feeling because, some people do spend that time trying to convince people to see it the way they want. And it ain't always the right time for everybody. That's another thing, too.
Man, you said a mouthful. It took me 6 years to see the value in it, and I think it, if I had a tip to leave people with, specifically, I guess people who are in the industry, is you want to give. Maybe I'm speaking specifically about young people, or maybe it's people overall, is that you want to give people an opportunity to see themselves in what it is that you're offering. Because if they see no value in it for them, if they don't see themselves in the opportunity that you're sharing, they don't see themselves successful at it, if they just see it as a way that's going to take up more time and energy that they don't have, more than
Mhm.
likely they're going to say no. So when I think about one of the first times, not first times, but like the a time I was exposed to this company from my mom, and I got a chance to meet a high income earner and see the ring and the flashy stuff. And then it didn't. I wasn't like, oh snap, I got to join this thing. I got to do this thing because I can't see myself in that. Like I'm struggling to get grocery and figure out adulting. I'm good. You know what I'm
Ain't
saying?
think about no ruby rings, right?
I didn't see that. Like I'm thinking about paying for my grocery bill, not paying to pay into something that's going to eventually give me this ring or this car, things like that. That's where my mindset was at the time. But this time around, my mom being patient with me and exposing me to the opportunity from a different lens, she showed me her journey. You know what I'm saying? She gave me a chance to see the back end and how much she's been able to grow in the company, not just mentally with the personal development, but also financially. And then she also exposed me to the different types of high income earners in the business by showing me how they're doing it, how they're, how they're getting to experience a different lifestyle based on their participation in the company. So I think because she showed me like the younger people who were like really able to change their situation, that was my opportunity to see myself in this business, in this opportunity. So I think you have to know who you're talking to. It's not beneficial to have the same script when you talk to everybody and say the same thing. You have to really learn the skill of building relationships and actually caring about people. Like you have to genuinely care about the people that you're talking to and that you're exposing this opportunity to. Like Mike said, like not you need to know about the people you're trying to convince, not the people you're trying to beg. You need to know about these people because you care about them and that you want to see them grow and develop, not for your gain, not because you want to be at the top of the company, not because you want to be a millionaire. What have you noticed that or people around you need that you have to offer through this business? And you got to get clear on that, and you got to do your research, and you got to understand the company, because it's a lot of people I see trying to promote a company that they don't even understand, that they don't need. Like I'm and thankfully in this company we got some amazing leaders that will step in and help us explain it when we're struggling as we're still learning. But to have this expectation that you cannot know anything and be like, yeah, just sign up for this thing or just do this thing, man,
Uh,
it just don't work like that. I really challenge everybody who's watching this: if you are a part of a network marketing company, practice just caring about people and what they need to go to the next level. Understand what they need to go to the next level, and figure out what you can do to invest in them and support them on their journey.
whew, yeah, you getting a whole lot of responses on that one because that's the root of it, really. Like if you care about the people, if you use that as like an underlying foundation of the conversations and who you talk to, who you approach, like it really kind of makes you, if you, I mean, a good-hearted person, I think is going to make them really take in consideration, is this a good match? Because, you also have to be comfortable saying, you know what? No, I don't think this is good for you. Or based on what you told me and based on our conversation, like maybe this ain't a good time. Come back and look at it again later. Like I think that part is really sincere, to do that. And I know that there's people that get to a certain level where there's so many people that you might not ever touch, but that kind of ties into the culture of the company. If the company has a culture of really caring and really trying to say, here's how people can use this vehicle in their life to either resolve an issue or to help them get to the next level. Like, I feel like there's companies who really have that as part of their culture, and it goes a long way, where there's some that are just solely focused on the sale, solely focused on the money, and they can care less. And I think that's where the bad reputation part of it comes from. I think the other thing too is that it's real easy to be dismissive of the people who are at the top of the company, to think like, oh well, they just got 500 people under them and now they just chilling and kicking it. Like there's a lot of work and responsibility being in that position. Knowing what I know now and seeing people in that position now, and it's just like sometimes you look at it, it's like, are you willing to do this? Are you willing to travel 5 times a week to go and support the people that are you're mentoring? Like there's a lot of responsibility there that really changed the way that I look at reaching that part of the company. Yeah, there's riches that comes along with it. Yeah, there's going to be some notoriety that comes along with it, but there's a lot of work and there's a responsibility that come along with it too, that I think a lot of people dismiss because you think the money is going to take care of it all. What they say, more money, more problems. The
Literally.
older I get, the more I understand that.
Real. It's so real. And my biggest thing, even just my takeaway from this conversation, is what got me was seeing myself in the position, of not just seeing myself in the position at the top as a high income earner, but I see myself being able to get to the level of our directors, people who are really still grinding it out and building their team and still trying to figure it out. Like I see myself at each stage of it through them. I see their passion, their excitement to change lives, and that for me is what I value. And one other person that I'm like so inspired by, like gotta tune into her content as consistently as possible because she's really somebody I see myself in, being able to grow and be able to speak on stages like her is Donnie Wiggins from Social Proof.
Oh
And she
yeah.
very openly talks about her experience in network marketing. And I just love her story and her poise and her like straight, like get to it personality. Like she don't beat around the bush. She like, this was my journey. This is what I've been through. The foreclosures that she's mastered her story in such a confident way, and I absolutely love that. And like, I think a huge part of network marketing is not about how high you can get in a company, not about how much money you can make, but how powerfully and impactfully you can tell your story and own it first. Like owning your story, telling your story, and transforming lives with your story is like, to me, the system for success in network marketing. And not over exaggerating your story or manipulating people with your story, but like truly saying, what is my story? What's my testimony? How have I been able to get from point A to point B? And what has this company done to help transform me? Because Donnie Wiggins is still telling the same story she told in network marketing, even though she's on the other side and running her own company now. Like she still tell consistently, she has the same story, and I think that's amazing. And that says a lot about her character. It was never about how can I make up this story to be successful in the company, but how can I own my story, be true to who I am, and continue to share it in a powerful and impactful way. And I think if people can grasp the concept of storytelling and understanding and owning what they've been through, you won. You won
Yeah.
in that area. Yeah.
It's powerful. Well, this was good. I enjoyed this conversation. I really did. And thank you for bringing it to the table to talk about too, because it's something that everybody who is within the industry, um, just stuff that people talk about and think about, and even people who might get approached. I think just knowing why some people may get involved
Hmm.
might be helpful too. Different people have different experiences, and they have different needs. They have different drivers for why something might be a benefit to them. I think all that is just kind of good to hear. It's rare that you get to have an opportunity to kind of hear all the different experiences and interactions people have
Yeah.
with the multi-level marketing and network marketing. And unless somebody's doing it because they got upset about something that didn't go right. You know what I mean? Like you always just get that part.
Right. Right.
So
I love it.
cool.
What are we gonna talk about next week? Because I love this conversation, the space for this conversation. I think it's so necessary. Even seeing so many people who I know are in network marketing in the comments, I think they need this space. So I'm
Mhm.
glad we were able to provide it. Do you think we should continue this part of the conversation? Or y'all let us know in the comments too. What do you think that you would like
Yeah.
to hear more about in terms of network marketing? I would love to spend some time also talking about our experience with like successes and failures in relation
Mhm.
to how we've been navigating the industry.
Yeah, that would be cool. Like it's Freestyle Friday, so we can do what we want to do on Freestyle Friday.
That's real. That sounds good. That sounds
I
good.
like that. So yeah, if y'all enjoyed just having this moment for us to have open conversation like this, we didn't really know how long it was going to be. With 43 minutes, that's not bad. Let us know. We can reserve this spot Fridays, start at 8 o'clock our time, 9 Central. But just let us know in the comments if there's other stuff that you want to talk about. We can keep this thread going. Um, so yeah, cool. Appreciate that. We have a consultation to do, a big dream consultation to do for a Be Well Platinum member in about 10-15 minutes. So this was good. Thank you, Imani, for bringing this idea up. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Deborah Taylor, Denise Hutton, I saw Lisa Christensen Gibb, one of my former mentors in a network marketing company, Kyron Ray. Thank you all for being here. Wendy, thank you for sharing and bringing people to the conversation. Kimberly Caldwell, we see y'all out there. We appreciate y'all. So thank you. And we'll be back here next week, Friday, it looks like.
Yep.
That's when we'll be here. All right.
All
Take
right.
care, everybody.
See y'all soon.